If you want to continue to follow our adventure, click subscribe. So you don't miss anything, click the bell notification. I used to have this guy who would, he followed our channel for the longest time. And he would comment every day, and he would talk about his nomadic lifestyle. I mean, he was having a great time. And he was doing it, in my opinion, mostly right. He was doing campsite hosting. Now, I didn't have all the details on him at all. And he would say, Rob, you know, I'm inspired by your channel. Us nomads got to stick together, you know, different things like that. His last couple of comments, he wasn't quite as positive as he had been in previous comments. And, you know, he's talking about how things were not going so well at his camp host site. You know, I got the impression that maybe they were going to shut down the park or something. Apparently money was getting tight for him. Well, then I just never heard from him again. And it's been months since I've heard from him. Well, the other day he wrote me an email, actually. And he said, Rob, things have been really bad. And he says, boy, I really wish I would have listened to you about having an emergency fund and being better prepared. He said, I really thought this campsite host thing was going to work out. But, you know, they shut it down, and it went bad in a hurry. And they kicked me out, kicked everybody out. And I didn't have a place to go. And I didn't have a lot of money to go anywhere if I did. You know, I was only, you know, I just started this adventure, and all of a sudden it's over, and I have nothing. He says, right now, I'm in the library on their computer, and hopefully I can stay here for, you know, during the day so I can stay warm. He says, it's just too cold to stay outside. And here it is, it's only November. And he admits it that, you know, he just didn't have the emergency fund. He says, you know, I never had a big, huge savings account in my house, and I never ran into this kind of trouble. And I guess I just never really thought about how important it was. And he said this, for some reason, when things go bad out here, it's worse. You just don't have any ability to recover from it. You got to remember, you're making less money than you were making in your house. And it's just not possible, in my opinion, to make as much money living on the road, campsite hosting or doing online work, than it is in the house. Remember, you're wanting to enjoy your adventure also, so you're not working as many hours. You came out here to partially retire, or you're living on Social Security or something like that. So it's not, I don't think it's always possible to make as much money as you did at the house. I know I don't make as much money, but I also don't spend as much. But I've always been that way. I just don't spend a lot of money. You know, I get criticized all the time. Well, as a matter of fact, someone called me a tightwad the other day. Says, I'm not even a reasonable person that, you know, I think that buying an ice cream is too much money. You know, buying a $10 ice cream for me and Carolyn, I was happy to do it. I enjoyed the ice cream, and I will go do it again. But I got to think about that $10. If I go over budget because of that ice cream, and all of a sudden an emergency happens, I'm sure going to want that $10. Think about what this guy just said to me. He said he's in a library right now because he can't afford heat. He can't afford propane. Well, $10 can almost fill a 20-pound propane tank. To criticize me for being frugal, or a tightwad, whatever you want to call me, I'd much rather be a tightwad and not eat the ice cream than not be a tightwad and be without heat. But this is not the first time I've gotten emails or met people who are in the same boat. I have told this story many times. Met an older couple on Social Security. So they get Social Security and they get food stamps. And between the two, I think they said they get $700 in Social Security, another $150 in food stamps. So they're, let's just call it an even $1,000. I'm guessing maybe, you know, what they said. Well, it's not hard to spend $1,000. Our budget is $850. Last couple months, we went over budget just by 50 bucks, 100 bucks. Because we went out to eat and different things that we probably shouldn't have done. $1,000 is easy to spend. As frugal as I am, as much of a tightwad as I am, $1,000 is pretty easy to spend for 2 people. Well, they get out here and they don't have a new vehicle. So the first thing they have to do is about every 6 months to a year, they're having to buy a new another vehicle, a used vehicle, because the one they had broke down. They have to go to the food pantry in whatever area they're at to get extra food. So down in Florida, you can stay in a campsite for 3 months during hunting season. Well, they were in a hunt camp, and for the 3 months they had no water. Their vehicle had broken down at the time. I don't understand. I think they were getting some help. I think people were helping them get food and different things while they were there. But they weren't able to get a shower. When they finally was able to get their car fixed, they came over to the campsite that we were at. That's where we met them. And there was a water spigot there. And the first thing they did, the very first thing, after they got the camper set up, they walked over to the water spigot and started taking a shower right underneath the water spigot, you know, a bath or whatever you want to call it. That is not a nomadic lifestyle. That's not life. That's not even comfortable. That's not living the dream. That's just being miserable. It's from folks that I keep hearing from and meeting that I insist that you have an emergency fund. But I am telling you, I'd much rather be a tightwad and enjoying the scenery, living a wonderful life, a great dream, having a great time, not worrying about anything, than spending money on an ice cream and not being able to take a shower. So please, get an emergency fund. And every time I say this, people want to know how much I get, how much I have. Look, I keep saying tens of thousands of dollars, because if I had to replace my truck, let's say I do something to it, I break it and I have to replace it, that insurance isn't going to replace. I got to buy a new truck. That's $20,000. You got to be able to replace it. And every time I make a video like this, people say, well, yeah, you're always supposed to have an emergency fund. But I always get so many emails saying, we're in trouble. You see it on Facebook all the time. Go fund me. Thanks for watching. Click like if you like the video, and happy travels.